The conference room buzzed with conversation as I checked my phone. Tyler was calling. I stepped out into the hallway, expecting a casual chat. Maybe a "how's your trip?" or "when will you be back?" But instead, his voice came through cold and smug. "I'm divorcing you," he said, like it was some kind of victory. "I already sold the apartment, so you'll need to find a new place to live. Enjoy that." For a moment I couldn't breathe. Audacity. No apology, no guilt, just arrogance. My grip tightened on the phone as I processed what he said. "You sold the apartment?" I asked, keeping my tone calm. "Yeah," he chuckled. "Nicole and I need the money to start our life together. She deserves better than that small place anyway." Nicole. The name hit like a slap, even though I'd suspected for months. Late nights, surprise business trips, and the growing distance between us. It had all pointed to someone else. But hearing him say her name so casually, like I was the outsider, ignited something in me. "Sounds good," I said flatly. I refused to let him hear me break. "My name is Amelia." Until that phone call, I believed I was married to a man I could trust. Tyler and I had been together for 6 years. Things weren't perfect, but I thought we were a team. We bought that cozy 2-bedroom apartment together. It wasn't just a home. It was everything we'd built. Looking back, I ignored the warning signs. Tyler brushing off my concerns, being vague about money, flashing that confident smile to distract me. I thought he had it all under control. Now I saw it for what it was: manipulation. The rest of the day blurred by. I sat through client meetings, nodding like everything was fine. Tyler thought he'd won. Thought he could sell the apartment and walk away clean. But he'd overlooked one very important detail. The deed to the apartment had been in my name for months. After we refinanced, I had it transferred. Tyler agreed without reading the documents, just eager to get a better interest rate. He never asked questions. Never read the fine print. His carelessness was about to cost him. By the time I got back to my hotel that evening, the shock had worn off. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. If he wanted a fight, fine. I was ready. My first call was to Chloe, my lawyer and longtime friend. I explained everything in detail, voice steady despite the adrenaline still pumping through me. "He sold the apartment," she repeated, shocked. "He can't do that. You're the sole owner." "Apparently he doesn't know that," I said, allowing myself a small, satisfied smile. "He thinks the money's already his to spend on Nicole." Chloe laughed dryly. "Then he's in for a nasty surprise. That sale's invalid. And if he took any payment, he could be liable for fraud." The word fraud gave me a deep, satisfying chill. "So what do we do next?" "First, we notify the buyer that the sale's not legal," Chloe said. "Then we'll send Tyler a formal letter explaining the consequences. If he keeps pushing, we'll take him to court." As I hung up, I felt something I hadn't in a long time: peace. Tyler thought he'd blindsided me. But he had no idea what he'd stepped into. For the rest of the trip, I threw myself into work. I boxed up the pain and focused on what I could control. Yes, I was hurt, but I wasn't broken. I was preparing. When I boarded the plane home, I was ready. Ready to stand my ground. Ready to take back control. This wasn't just about getting even. It was about reclaiming my life. As the plane touched down, I called Chloe. "I'm back," I said, dragging my suitcase off the carousel. "What's next?" "We've already contacted the buyer," she replied. "They were furious and agreed to cooperate. As for Tyler, I sent the formal notice to his email this morning. He hasn't responded yet, but he will." Smiled. Let him stew. When I got home, the apartment felt strange. His coat was still on the chair. His shoes were by the door. But the space felt hollow, like something had shifted. And it had. Later that evening, Tyler burst in, red-faced and furious, holding his phone. "What the hell is this?" he shouted, waving the letter Chloe sent. "You're saying I can't sell the apartment? It's half mine." "No," I said calmly, arms crossed. "It's not. The deed's been in my name for months. You signed off on it after the refinance, remember? Or did you just skim the paperwork like always? He froze, rage mixing with confusion. You're lying. I reached into the folder I'd prepared and pulled out the deed. Here. See for yourself. His eyes darted across the page, and his face twisted into something bitter. You think you're so smart, he sneered. This doesn't change anything. I already made a deal. You're going to look like a fool when this all falls apart. I stared at him, unwavering. No, Tyler. You're the one who's about to fall. One who's about to all fall. The sale is already void, Tyler, I said, looking him dead in the eye. The buyer knows it, and they're ready to take legal action if you don't return the money. I stepped closer and lowered my voice. And if you've spent even a single cent of that deposit, you're in even deeper trouble. For the first time, Tyler looked unsure. You don't know what you're talking about, he muttered, avoiding my eyes. Oh, I do, I said, voice steady. You've treated me like I was clueless for years, but guess what? I've been paying attention. And now, you're going to face the consequences. He started pacing, frustration building. This is ridiculous. You're overreacting. You can't just kick me out. I raised an eyebrow. Actually, I can. This apartment is legally mine. I'm letting you stay for now as a courtesy so you can figure out your next move. But don't get it twisted. I'm not going anywhere. Over the next few days, Tyler's anger turned into panic. He kept calling, leaving voicemails that bounced between begging and threats. Meanwhile, Chloe made sure every detail was handled. The buyer officially pulled out of the deal, furious with Tyler. And Chloe started preparing the divorce papers. You're in a strong position, Amelia, she told me during one meeting. With the sale voided and fraud on the table, Tyler has no leverage. He'll have to cooperate or face worse. Her words reassured me, but they also reminded me how long I had let Tyler control my life. I used to excuse his arrogance and coldness, but now I saw it all clearly. I was done giving him power. My best friend Laura came over to help me reorganize the apartment. We packed up Tyler's things and stacked the boxes in the living room. How's he taking this? She asked, holding up one of his flashy ties. Not well, I laughed. He still thinks he can talk his way out of it. But I'm not budging. Good, she said, tossing the tie into the box. He doesn't deserve your space or your time. I nodded, grateful. For so long I'd felt alone, carrying the emotional and financial weight of our marriage. But now I had support, and that made all the difference. The final blow came when Tyler walked in with Nicole. I was sitting at the dining table when they came in like they owned the place. Nicole looked around with a smug smile, her arm linked with his. So this is where we're staying, she said, full of attitude. I stood, heart racing but firm. No, I said. This is where Tyler was staying. You're not staying here at all. Her smile dropped. Tyler looked stunned. What is this? He asked. This, I said, motioning to the apartment, is my home. Not yours. Not hers. And definitely not some hotel for you to play house in after everything you did. Nicole's face turned cold, but she didn't say anything. Tyler's voice rose in anger. You can't do this. I didn't flinch. What's unreasonable, Tyler, is thinking you could sell my home, keep the money, and expect me to just accept it. You're lucky I haven't pressed charges yet. He stood in the doorway, red-faced. Nicole folded her arms, clearly uncomfortable. You're being ridiculous, Amelia, he said, desperate now. You can't just throw me out. I stepped forward, calm. This apartment has been in my name for months. You signed the paperwork without even reading it, just like always. So no, it's not your home anymore. Nicole's eyes narrowed. Wait, what is she talking about? You said this was your place. That you sold it. Tyler flinched. It's complicated. I'll handle it. It's not complicated, I said. You tried to sell an apartment that doesn't belong to you. That's fraud. And now the sale is void. Nicole's face fell. You mean the money you said you had? She stopped, voice rising. Oh my God! Did you lie about that too? Nicole, let me explain, he said quickly. No, I cut in. Let me explain. Tyler tried to sell this place behind my back, thinking he could take the money and leave me with nothing. What he didn't know was that I had already transferred the deed into my name. So not only did the sale fail, he committed fraud. Nicole stepped back, shocked. Fraud? She whispered. Yes. And I will press charges if he doesn't get out by the end of the day. Tyler finally broke. You can't do this, Amelia, he pleaded. We've been together 6 years. You can't just throw me out. You threw me out the moment you made that phone call, I said coldly. You told me you were divorcing me and laughed about me finding a new place. You didn't just betray me, Tyler. You tried to destroy me. Don't act like you're the victim. Nicole took another step back. This is insane, she muttered. You said you had this under control. Tyler turned to her, panicking. Nicole, I can fix this, I just... Don't, she said, holding up her hand. I'm not getting dragged into your mess. And just like that, she turned and walked out, slamming the door behind her. Smiled. Looks like you're on your own now. Tyler sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. Amelia, please. Messed up. I know that. But you don't have to do this. You're right, I said, picking up a folder from the kitchen counter and placing it on the coffee table in front of him. I don't have to do this, but I am. These are the divorce papers. My lawyer already prepared them. I suggest you sign them quickly. The sooner you do, the sooner we can move on. He stared at the folder, his face pale. Do you really hate me that much? Hate you? I let out a dry laugh. No, Tyler. I don't hate you. Feel sorry for you. You had everything, someone who loved you, a home we built together. And you threw it all away because of your ego. I stood up, my heart pounding, but I was calm. I want you out by the end of the day. Take your stuff and figure out where you're going. This is the last time I'll be kind to you. He looked like he wanted to argue, but then his shoulders sank. Fine, he muttered. I'll go. Good, I said, walking to the door. And don't try anything else. Chloe's handling everything now. If you cross the line again, I'll let the courts deal with you. He grabbed his coat and walked out without looking at me. His footsteps were heavy. For a second I felt a little sad. Not for him, but for the life I thought we'd have. That feeling didn't last long. I locked the door with the new key I had made. This was my home now. No one, especially not Tyler, would take it from me again. The silence after he left was almost strange. But for the first time in years I could finally breathe. The space felt lighter, free of his lies and presence. I stood in the living room, noticing how much cleaner it looked without his things. His ugly gaming chair, the jerseys on the walls, the flashy coffee table he insisted on keeping. Felt like mine again. That evening Lauren came by with takeout and a bottle of wine. He's really gone, she asked, flopping on the couch. Gone and not coming back, I said, pouring us wine. He didn't even argue. She raised her glass. To fresh starts and well-earned wins. I clinked mine against hers. To never letting anyone walk all over me again. Over the next few days I started taking back the apartment. I moved furniture, hung my favorite art, and filled it with things that made me happy. It wasn't just decorating, it was creating a space that felt like me again, not the version Tyler had shaped. Chloe, my lawyer, called with updates. The fraud charges are dropped, she said. The buyer isn't pursuing it. And the divorce is moving fast. Once Tyler signs, you'll officially be free. Hearing the word free made me emotional. It wasn't just about the divorce. It was about everything I had carried for so long. The resentment, the doubts, the feeling of being stuck in a marriage where I wasn't appreciated. It was all finally being lifted. Tyler tried to contact me a few times. His messages ranged from weak apologies to guilt trips. I made a mistake. Can we talk? One said. Another read. You're going to ruin me, Amia. Is that what you want? I didn't reply. I wasn't wasting any more energy on something that couldn't be fixed. He made his choices, now he had to deal with them. By the end of the week, the apartment felt completely different. It was warm, welcoming, and all mine. One night, I sat on the couch with a cup of tea, looking out at the city lights. I thought about everything that had happened. Tyler's betrayal had hurt, but it woke me up. I had let myself believe I didn't deserve better. But now I knew I did. I wasn't just getting my apartment back, I was getting my life back. A month later, everything had changed. The apartment felt like a new place, not because I renovated but because I felt free in it. Tyler's things and his heavy presence were gone. The divorce process was smooth. Chloe handled it perfectly. Tyler signed the papers without making a scene. There was no big drama. Just a clean break that felt a little sad, but also really satisfying. One day I found an old photo of us. We were smiling, looking happy. I let myself remember the good times for a moment. Then I tucked the photo into an envelope and put it away. It was part of my past, but it didn't define me anymore. Lauren and I celebrated with dinner and drinks on a rooftop. "You're glowing," she said, raising her cocktail. "Single life suits you." Smiled. It's not being single, it's the freedom. For the first time, I'm not living under someone else's rules. We toasted to that. Back at home, I started thinking about the future. This apartment had become a symbol of my strength. I wouldn't stay here forever, but until then, I was going to enjoy every moment of peace. That night, curled up on the couch, I thought about that day Tyler laughed on the phone. So sure he'd won. Smiled. His arrogance was his downfall. My quiet strength saved me. This wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the start of something new. A life where I made the rules. A life where I chose happiness. And for the first time in a long time, felt free.